Hi, this is Morley and this is the M-Wire. I'm going to be talking about what's been going on between Russia and Ukraine as of recently, and more importantly, a meeting of the so-called minds, if you will, between the so-called President of the United States, Joe Biden, and Vladimir Putin. They will meet virtually today to discuss what is happening in Europe and eastern Ukraine. It would appear that Joe Biden is going to be the spokesperson on behalf of NATO as to what is happening and what may very well be happening if Vladimir Putin does not disengage his military from the Ukrainian border. Now, Joe Biden is essentially just going to threaten Russia with sanctions. Some of them are much more severe than others. I'll briefly go over what Joe Biden potentially plans to tell Vladimir Putin if he does not de-escalate this potential confrontation on the eastern Ukrainian border immediately. For example, the U.S. could attack the Russian bond market. In April, the U.S. issued a ban on U.S. financial institutions buying new issues of Russian government bonds, which had negligible effect. Washington could go much further and sanction the secondary market in Russian bonds, where they are resold and packaged with other investments. So that's one way that the United States could deter Russia. Another way they could attack Russia economically is with the gas pipeline system Nord Stream. The gas pipeline from Russia to Northern Europe has been completed, but it has not been certified for use by the German energy regulator. Members of new German government coalition have expressed skepticism about the project, and it is possible it would be cancelled altogether in the event of a Russian invasion of Ukraine. Well, I think before that happens, Vladimir Putin himself would cancel it because he could essentially cut off all the gas, or most of the gas anyway, that goes to Europe as it is. So this pipeline is negligible here. Both parties can refuse to participate in one way or another, and that's one thing that the West isn't talking about that Russia could potentially do if the conversation between Vladimir Putin and Joe Biden doesn't bode well. Sanctions on Russian corporations and banks. The Biden administration could impose full blocking sanctions on large Russian banks, energy companies, or defense firms, or impose sweeping prohibitions on investment and provision of services to conventional Russian oil projects, Fishman said. Two possible financial targets are the huge VTB Bank and Gazprom Bank. So they could go after the banking system, which some speculate that Russia would just move to crypto or something like that. I mean, it's not impossible, folks. There could be a tectonic shift in the crypto market. Not that I'm speculating, but that is one possibility for the Russians if they sense this coming. So as you can see, both sides have ways of persuading the other. Obviously, Russia's primary is militarily at this point, given the amount of troops that they have built up, which I'm going to get to in a bit here. But that's one way that the U.S. could possibly deter Russia is through the banks. Now, this one seems highly unlikely, folks, but basically sanctions on oligarchs and their families. Essentially going after the more affluent Russian people. The U.S. Treasury has been hesitant to impose sanctions on Russian oligarchs after measures taken against Oleg Deprenska had an impact on the activities of his aluminum company Rusal in Ireland, causing a major rift with Dublin. In the wake of an invasion, Congress is likely to add more Putin-friendly oligarchs to a blacklist to be appended to the defense budget. Family members of Putin's circle could also be more extensively targeted. These people have so much money that they would barely care, folks. Their lifestyle would not suffer one bit if they were sanctioned like that. So I'm sure Putin is just thinking, go ahead, try it. Now this one here, folks, is the most severe out of all of them, SWIFT. The biggest stick in Biden's arsenal is the threat to have Russia excluded from the global economic electronic payment system SWIFT, based in Belgium. It was one of the most crippling measures used against Iran and would make Russia a pariah in international finance. Aslan described the weapon as the sledgehammer, possibly to be used as a last resort. Which brings us to, would the Russian people immediately just jump all over crypto? I mean, it's possible, folks. I don't know what's going to happen, but I mean, SWIFT, so many merchants used it that it would definitely be a devastating blow to Russia's economy. That's definitely true. So this meeting today between Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin, they're going to discuss the procedures, essentially, to new NATO membership, if you will. Because Vladimir Putin does not want the Ukraine to become a part of NATO. Now, NATO only votes on this generally in the summertime. I believe it's June. They all meet in Brussels, and they decide which countries are going to be eligible for NATO membership. Now, the Ukraine has asked for a special session that they may be added to NATO sooner than that, but I don't think NATO is going to accommodate them in this way. I think they're just going to have the regular meetings like they do in the summertime, as I said. But Vladimir Putin is very adamant that he wants NATO to essentially ask him permission if countries can join NATO and expand eastward in Europe. And NATO is of the mindset that we can admit whomever we like to our group, if you will. So there's a very contentious issue there. A very contentious issue indeed, and neither side wants to budge. I don't have high hopes for this meeting, to be quite honest with you. The Russian buildup of troops near eastern Ukraine and the Russian-controlled area of the Crimea is only augmenting by the day. This article is from The Weekend. Russia planning military offensive in Ukraine, according to U.S. official. Vladimir Putin is planning on using almost 175,000 troops, half of which are already deployed near the Ukrainian border. 175,000 troops, folks. That is a rather large army, if I do say so myself. Neither side seems to be backing down at this point, and I don't think the meeting today between Putin and Biden will bear any fruit. I personally think that this situation will continue to denigrate, and eventually Russia will indeed attack the Ukraine. I will be giving an update later today as to what transpired between the meeting between Putin and Biden, so be sure to stick around for that. But this is turning into quite the confrontation, folks. The amount of troops on the border is absolutely staggering, and there's more by the day. This situation, unfortunately, has the potential to go hot on a moment's notice. But thank you so much for coming along with me to my update. Please remember to like, to comment, to share, and to subscribe. And until the next update, God bless.